Over the centuries, centralized hierarchical forms of organization have been the standard for large-scale coordination of human activity. Well-defined, stable, and predictable, they seem to express an inherent logic to social ordering. This hierarchy has long formed the default position for how we have organized governments, enterprises, and armies, and proven incredibly enduring throughout history. At the same time, while decentralized forms of organization have always existed, they have remained local in scope, too difficult to coordinate effectively at a large scale. Today, this dynamic is changing in profound ways. A confluence of technological, economic, and social changes are starting to converge in powerful new ways, working to erode these centralized patterns of economic organization and create fertile grounds for new forms of distributed systems. Many have predicted the 21st century as the century of networks. Today, the reality of this transformation is becoming ever more tangible, as the operating environment conducive for this new kind of organization grows every day. In the past 50 to 70 years, we have transitioned from a world organized predominantly by hierarchies to the free market system, to the rise of online digital platforms, to today, where we start to see the emergence of new forms of truly networked organizations enabled by the next generation of Web 3.0 technologies, the so-called decentralized web. The large vertical bureaucratic system of management that was the great organizational innovation of the modern era, helping us achieve many great things, has recently started to be seen as constraining rather than enabling. In today's dynamic environment, it appears dangerously inept at adapting and evolving, inherently resistant to complexity and unable to effectively harness proliferating connectivity towards the benefit of the organization. Meanwhile, many have reached the conclusion that solutions to some of the world's challenges, including cybercrime, climate change, and terrorism, will not be solved by our existing institutional infrastructure. Instead, they require fundamentally new ways of organizing through the power of decentralized collaboration on a global scale, as well as a widespread shift from zero-sum games of competition to positive-sum games of cooperation. In the face of these major societal challenges, it is becoming apparent that while we have become very good at developing formal centralized organizations, we have become inept at building distributed coordination and aligning the interests of members across a whole society or economy with overall beneficial outcomes. We have created efficient closed systems, but have poor coordination between them. This leads to negative externalities that create major problems at the macro level. While each individual, enterprise, and state is trying to become more efficient and aligned, we are actually becoming less aligned on a global scale and creating systemic risks because of these negative externalities. Recognizing these limitations, both startups and larger organizations around the world are looking for something more practical that harnesses the power of connectivity. They want to scale, but they want to remain flat in their structure. They want autonomy, decentralized decision-making, as well as distributed innovation and agility. But achieving this remains a challenge involving many unanswered questions. How do we remove the chains of command and burdensome structures to enable human ingenuity and passion to thrive within our organizations without losing alignment? How can we move away from a reliance on a few people at the top to see the future and respond, but instead unleash the latent leadership and talent across the entire organization? How can we design organizations to bring people together in a way that our collective individual choices and actions actually build to a shared intent, intelligence, and capacity, and keep everyone in alignment through feedback loops that create resilience? In the past, answers to such questions remained elusive. However, today new solutions are emerging as information networks become strengthened and mature through the power of distributed technologies. Although organizations may take on many forms and perform a variety of functions, a defining feature to all organizations is the degree to which they are centralized or distributed. Centralized organizations of all kinds are defined by a design pattern that connects the many at the edges to the few at the center. Overall coordination is then achieved by centralizing key decisions in the hands of a few, while the outer majority are organized through a chain of command and incentive systems to ensure they execute on those decisions. Inherent in this paradigm is the idea that the few in power provide solutions for the many in charge of execution. While this reduces complexity, it also works to reduce the capacity for the majority of the organization's members to take initiative, act autonomously, and respond to local information. As information is designed to flow towards the center, there is a lack of horizontal connectivity between domains within the organization. As the organization grows, more specialized departments form, while to coordinate them, layers of management and bureaucracy proliferate. The result of this is compartmentalization and the formation of silos over time. Meanwhile, people lose a sense of connection with the outcomes of their work. They begin to resort to following routines, at which stage it becomes difficult to alter the organization, innovate, and adapt to the changing environment. Centralization is clearly the simplest approach to achieving alignment within a large organization, as it works to linearize the organization and remove complexity. However, in so doing, it hinders its long-term sustainability. The essential structural differences between the decentralized and centralized model are the level, density, and volume of horizontal nonlinear connections, which come to predominate over linear connections into the center. Distributed systems are predicated upon nonlinear network connectivity between members, and a relatively high level autonomy and productive capacity residing with each agent in the system as they work towards a common purpose. Unlike the centralized system that is predicated on concentration in the center, decentralized systems push outwards. The emphasis is on the individual autonomous agents. The structure of the hierarchy is replaced by a more loosely coupled network of peer interactions. In a decentralized organization, decision-making happens out at the edges of the network with a limited fixed organizational structure of constraints. Pure markets are good examples of decentralized organizations. Take for illustration a town market where anyone can join to either sell or purchase an item. People interact. Sellers set prices based on their own choices, while buyers choose whether or where to purchase. There is no one in the center coordinating the activities or setting prices. It is only out of local interaction and feedback between members that prices will emerge. In the absence of centralized coordination, the order that emerges is a function of self-organization. Self-organization describes the core dynamic coordinating distributed systems via local interactions only. This process of emergence through self-organization requires autonomous actors making decisions based upon local information. The essential element is peer-to-peer interactions between the members of the organization. Interactions and information need to be flowing horizontally, not vertically. Management in a decentralized organization changes to becoming about leading, creating or designing the context within which self-organization can align agents' actions towards the desired emergent outcomes. Today, we stand on the brink of the next generation of web technologies that will greatly strengthen the capacities of the underlying networks, and in the coming years, give rise to a new form of truly decentralized enterprise. The form of this next-generation enterprise is now coming into focus. It is an on-demand organization that responds to a purpose by pulling together a diverse set of autonomous services and algorithmically coordinating them into a functional network. It is structured and ranked through multiple forms of feedback loops and the direct exchange of value between members, as quantified by digital tokens. It takes a flat, horizontal structure organized less on chains of command and more around abstraction. It is greatly more agile, employing decentralized decision-making through an evolutionary dynamic. This video has been an overview of our paper, Decentralizing Organizations: The Evolution of the Enterprise in the Age of Networks. In the paper, we outline the key organizational structural aspects that change as we go from a centralized to a decentralized model. This analysis is coupled with a preliminary assessment of existing solutions for decentralized coordination. See the link below to download the full paper.